Hello, everybody. Apologies for last episode's abrupt cut. OBS went down again. Hopefully we won't have that today. But basically, the short version is I decided I'd just go ahead and continue the work. I was a bit sort of fed up with OBS, I won't lie. So, the castle's kind of finished. I've not weathered it, and I'm wondering whether I will or not. But as far as I'm concerned, the castle is now in the finished state, so I thought we'd do one final episode of me showing the end result, basically. So I finally have come up with a name, as I'm sure you can, I hope you can read. Twincourt Castle I decided to go with, named after its twin courtyards, or baileys, as they are also referred to as. But yes, so, come with me on a little journey through our, I'd say combined effort, but I've done everything, fuck you. The culmination of the last 6 streams, basically. Many of them 3 hours, one of them 4. So a lot of time has been put into this, and we shall now explore said work. So yes, here we are with our imposing wall and our banners upon the wall. I didn't script this, I'm sure you can tell. But yes, here we are approaching the first of 2, I suppose you could call them, no, I wouldn't call it a gatehouse. It's not fortified enough for a gatehouse, I'd say. It's a gate, we'll call it a gate. Yeah, because the fortification is admittedly quite light. The only real, obviously we've got 2 towers, and then we have a singular gate with a functioning portcullis, which if you saw the first episode or our live stream series, for Age of Warfare, you'll know is operated by a simple hand crank, and for whatever reason on this world it seems to stutter quite a bit. That seems to only happen the first time we deal with the mechanism though. And then here we come. Ooh, look at how populated the courtyard is now. And then we can close it again. There we go, much smoother that time. Right, so we've got some farmland, 2 different types. We have some livestock as well. We've also got Calvin, our cattle farmer, and of course we have some crops here tended to by our various crop farmers. There we go. So yes, we've got cattle in here. We do have a couple pigs as well, but we do not yet have a swine herd under employment, but that'll come in due time. So immediately in front of us we've got the guards barracks. We'll take you through that now. So I have hired some additional guards, just an extra little squad, so we now have 12 guards total, led by Captain Roy here. And they're just sort of enjoying some downtime. Oh, I guess one of them's a parent. Hi little Michael. Yeah, so we've got some nice decorative armor sets here, including the Lion's Guard, which are the highest ranking soldiers under our military. Hey there, Michael. And then obviously over here they've got their own little armory where they're well supplied to keep their troops battle ready at all times, including some additional weapons here and ample storage for their needs really. Got a couple of chessboards set up here so they can keep themselves entertained when they're off duty, and they're plenty stocked on food. Speaking of food, here is where a lot of that comes from. We've got a mix of wheat, carrots, potatoes and onions in this crop farm here. And if we follow the main path, we can either continue ahead or we can take this little detour over here to look at the stables. Some fairly simplistic ones. We now have 2 horses under our control, both of which were just sort of abandoned by various patrols from other unaffiliated troops. So they just seem to abandon their horses sometimes. But all the better for us, because now we have 2 of our own. Here we've got one of 2 wells. The other is in the, well, we have one in each courtyard. It's, fairly simplistic. We do have a ladder in case anyone falls in. They can get themselves out, no problem. And then, of course, we've got our plough there for tilling the ground. And you can also attach hose to it to create farmland. But we don't really have any additional farmland to create at the moment. Here we've got our worker dormitory, where our employed workers rest their weary heads. Here we've got our miners, Gloin, Nori, and Barlin. Safe and sound yet again, joining us here too. We have some additional rooms there for 4 other workers, one of which is, of course, Calvin over there. There he is. Over here we've got a little archery range where our bowmen can keep their practice up and, you know, just generally practice, make sure their skills are ready in the event of a siege. We've got access up onto the battlements here, including our gate, as I will call it, since, again, it's not really a gatehouse. But yeah, you can wrap right around and access basically any parts of the wall from here. So there's that. We do also have a lower floor. Oh, I'll fix that later. And then, of course, we can get up onto the battlements. We've got a nice brazier to keep our troops warm and so they can see during the night. And we've also got a ballista lined up here with the corresponding ammunition at the ready. We have that on a fair few of our turrets. Not all of them do, but you know, we've got a fair few ballistas to you know, monitor the walls like so. I've come too far down, haven't I? Yes, here we go. If we rejoin the main path, we are taken now to the second gate, which we keep open for most of the day. It's only really in the event of an attack that we close this gatehouse for that added level of security. But since we have a guard presence within this courtyard, our workers should be safe and sound nevertheless. Here we have the main courtyard, including our centerpiece, the keep. But before we get to the keep itself, and also, let me just finish this path over here, which I didn't do because I just didn't do it. But yes, there we go, all safe and sound now. Here's one of our Lions Guards, keeping an eye on the main gate for now, until we have some more troops to, you know, distribute tasks to. So we have Lions Guards filling some more sort of generalist duties for the time being, while we're a bit short-staffed. But I'm sure in time we'll get plenty more troops. Over here at this battlement, this is our curved wall, which sits a bit lower down than some of the others, but you know, it's fortified none the same. In fact, its curvature is actually quite a benefit, as it'll make it more difficult for stone-throwing artillery such as trebuchets to bring it down. And of course, we've got 2 bowmen manning here, and they've also got some mortars to fire back on any potential enemies. Here we've got a few different buildings. First of all, we'll start with the forge. This is, of course, where many weapons and armor are supplied to our military, and are also available for purchase to citizens that we believe, you know, can handle themselves. We don't really have a system for that right now, but there'll be some sort of, like, background check type thing. Anyway, here we've got our enchanting nook, held by our local mage here. So we've got plenty of room here to place some enchanted books, in case, you know, you're trying for specific enchants, and, you know, you get the wrong one per se. You can chuck it over here for someone else's benefit. We've even got a little telescope here. I think that's just a hobby for Helga. And then, of course, the enchant table itself right over here. Really good. Here is the hall. This is a multi-function hall at the moment. It's decked out for feasts and meal times for the citizens of the castle. But it can also be used as a meeting place for local lords if they gather here to discuss, you know, I don't know, kingdom stuff, basically. And also as a sort of royal court for people who want to plead certain issues to the lord at this castle. Here we've got access into the north wall, which is the most heavily fortified part of the castle. It's the tallest part of the wall, probably twice as tall as any other section. And it's got, obviously we've got these loopholes here for our archers to fire through, but also if we get on top of the wall, it is also outfitted with twin catapults. So if you're attacking from the north, you're doing it wrong. Anyway, so that concludes this part of the wall, of course. Then around here we've got our second well and second crop farm. This one's a bit more compact, and this one has wheat, cabbages and tomatoes. So we've got a bit more variety of crops for this one compared to the other. And of course here is our second well, which is actually functional. We can raise and lower the pot to fill it up, and then obviously distribute that in the future. When our kingdom becomes a bit more developed, we might install a plumbing system to feed some water directly into the keep, for example, for a sort of private supply. But this does the job very well in the meantime. Now here we've got our church. I've not yet named the church, but it is a church. Here we've got a little sort of donation shelf so people can come here and bring excess food that they don't need to the less fortunate if they're feeling so charitable. And of course, here's where our pastor will read out to their holy books. We don't have any at the moment, but I'm sure those will come through soon enough. And of course, we've got the bell tower right here, like so. In fact, for people who have seen us build the tower, they will know that there is a mechanism at the top there, which 3 minutes after the sun rises, the bells will sound. 1, 2, 3, basically. It's a very compact system, and for those interested, I might, well, you can just go watch that stream. But yeah, it's a nice little mechanism. I'm glad I came up with it. Here we've got our kitchen, which supplies food to the rest of the castle. The keep has its own private kitchen, but for the rest of the grounds, this is where they get their food. As you can see, it's a very well-stocked kitchen, helmed by our 2 chefs here, Jerk and Tesson. Plenty of storage here for, obviously, their various food needs, and they're, of course, well supplied from the 2 farms, and then redistributing it to the rest of the castle. That's kind of it for exterior buildings, ignoring the keep, of course, but I will quickly go through. We have a second barracks here for the guards. This would be for some more high-ranking guards, perhaps. Similar capacity to the barracks in the outer courtyard, and of course with immediate access onto the city wall so they can defend. And we've also got an exterior staircase here that wraps around to the next floor up, which is our kingdom's war room. Now, in the event of an ongoing conflict, this is where we can conduct our battles and manage our resources. If we have battles in various territories, we can monitor them remotely from this position, and also keep an eye out on the kingdom from these very high up reinforced windows to protect our generals while they conduct the battles themselves. As you can see, obviously our lands are quite empty at the moment. We do have, I believe this is an independent armourer up here, so we'll probably get on some good terms with them, maybe integrate them into the castle. But they're doing their own thing for now, and they're just sort of doing their own thing, no bother to us. We do have a dragon just shy of this nest, though, which we do have to keep an eye out because we are currently unequipped to combat such a beast. But luckily it seems to just stick to its own territory, and it's not really bothering us yet. So, with all that said and done, all that's really left to show off is the main keep itself, the beating heart of our nation. First line of defense is, of course, a 4 building. This is basically, well, it's an elevated point of entrance, so if somehow, and this is a very slim scenario, but if somehow our enemy gets through the first gate and the second, our last line of defense really is we can remove this staircase and basically deny them from even entering the keep. They'd have to maybe bring their own ladder, and of course that's going to be difficult for them to do with our fine boys in red firing away at them. And then through these grand gates we have the keep itself. This is sort of a lounge area for the nobles and lords who come to visit us. We even have a pair of guest bedrooms for such occasions, which are very nicely fitted out for, such noble men and women. Downstairs is where the Lord's bedroom is situated. Nice and spacious, their own personal fireplace. And it's just very nice and warm. fact, I might just, while it's getting dark, quickly grab a bit of kip, or at least I will, in just a few minutes once it hits 10:30. So do bear with us for just a moment. And there we go. Splendid. Right, now because the sun has risen again, that should activate the timer for the bell, so we might hear that later in the showcase, although we're kind of going to run out of stuff to show off. But anyway, we've got a sort of wine cellar down here, which can also be used for general storage, of course, because all of these are in fact storage items, even the shelves there. This is just sort of a general workspace. This isn't really attributed to any one thing. It's just sort of an in-between zone. Here, of course, we have the private kitchen, so that the keep itself can be sustained if somehow the rest of the castle falls. And then, of course, we have our waystone for quick access for lords and nobles. Troopers, unfortunately, are unable to utilise the waystone, so they must be led on foot, or by horseback, or on ship. But yeah. Now, we do have one additional floor. But to get the full effect, we will exit the keep and re-enter at that lower level. Leafs, hello. I think they're trying to get inside. Maybe later, when I'm finished with the showcase, I'll let you in. They're probably just after some additional books, so they can sort of get some inspiration to make their own holy books for the church. Here we've got our cellar. Now this fulfills a multitude of roles, the first being our dungeons. We have 4 cells total, and they are very small, but you know, you do the crime, you do the time, basically. And here we also have some lockers to store some confiscated items, or even contraband, if that somehow gets through. Exact same on that side, so I won't bother showing. Here we've got our main storeroom, where most of our resources are kept. At the moment, we have a healthy supply of cobblestone and a decent amount of oak wood. But obviously those will get bulked up once we establish some supply lines and production facilities, such as maybe a timber yard. And we have a local sort of mountain pass here, which looks like it'll serve some excellent mining potential. And then directly across, we have our main armory. And a cat, apparently. Hello. So yeah, this is where, obviously, we have some more armor stored for our troops. Sort of the same typical thing. And we also have a couple firearms for lords and nobles to defend themselves. Of course, the troops, regressively, they don't seem to understand how to function such a weapon, so they of course get bows and crossbows, and of course their melee weapons and their armor, which is of course of great importance to such a melee unit. Then our final room is the treasury. This is the lifeblood of our keep. This is how we're able to run things so efficiently, making sure all our business has the resources necessary to continue. That's about it, really. Suppose we could do a little patrol of the curtain wall. Luckily, of course, our access is right here. So yes, there is the independent armour. They were actually set up here before the castle was constructed, but we thought, you know, we'll respect their space and build over here and not sort of envelop them unwillingly. So we've got a bit of a rainforest, I believe that is, so there might be some beasts that we can tame for the betterment of the kingdom, some flying mounts, but we have yet to explore that region, or really most of this. There is the dragon nest that we established earlier, and of course at some point I want to set up a mine over here. Ample space for town building here, but we'll probably use this as a border so as to not get too close to the keep. And then maybe a little fishing village over here as well, so we can establish a navy for the kingdom. I wonder, I've not really got any means to get up there to check on the mechanism. We can maybe get a peek of it here, though I doubt it. Yeah, it's still too short. But yeah, that should be, you know, charging up, ready to sound the bells. Oh, I've never noticed these little gear details. That's cool. So we've got a third catapult here to protect the east wall, which is obviously main point of access for any naval threats. So we want to make sure that this wall is also prepared. Luckily we've got quick access for one of our garrisons. And I believe this tower also has its own ballista, yes of course. Then we have our slanted wall here, which is a little bit thicker than our straight walls. So it should be an extra layer of defense for any ships who try and maybe fire from, well, their ships. Although I doubt they'd reach, honestly. So we're quite safe, I do believe. And that is Twincourt Castle. Took us quite a while to build. We really put some care into this thing, and I'm very pleased with the end result. There's plenty of room for expansion, maybe a village, and maybe some other settlements more spread out across the land, so we can really get a foothold in this world and, you know, run the place basically. So, as short as the stream's been, that's kind of all there is to show. Thanks to everyone who, you know, tuned in for the actual construction of this castle. I hope you enjoyed the process, even though there were some very slow bits, like the wall episode in particular, I feel was quite dull in places. But yeah, I've enjoyed building it, and I shall continue to enjoy developing this world further. As I've said when I started the series, I don't currently have any plans to resume Age of Warfare Season 2, but we never know what might happen. But for now, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you all for watching.